Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all again. When I say that, you know what I mean. Hope all are well during the COVID pandemic. Hope everybody's healthy, staying safe. I was coming at you with a second book review. And this one comes out of a collection that I got pretty used, the Bachman books. And if you don't know, Stephen King wrote under the pseudonym for a few years, Richard Bachman. And he wrote this book called Rage, published in 1977. It was published in 1977. I guess he wrote it while he was still in high school, like a senior in high school. Now, Rage is not in print anymore. So for all you Stephen King fans out there, if you can get your hands on this the way I did, this was a used copy. I got this from a local bookstore of mine, used bookstore. I was lucky enough to get it. But Rage is out of print. And the reason Rage is out of print, it's a story about a young man named Charlie Decker. And Charlie has issues with his father at home, and he decides to bring a gun to school and ends up killing 2 teachers and taking the classroom hostage. You can see why it is no longer in print, and why, while I think it was a very interesting story, I can see why Mr. King decided to stop it, because the world we're living in now, it's a shame, but anyways, Rage follows the events of Charlie Decker, and Rage is about 124 pages from what I could find. I think it was about clocks at about 124. And this young man takes his father's pistol to school and kills the teacher in his classroom. And then another teacher comes in and tries to find out what's going on. And because he had set a fire in his locker. And after he killed the teacher in the classroom, he shoots the teacher at the doorway and closes the door and locks himself in the classroom with all the children. And all the cops are outside, and the whole faculty and staff and students are all outside. And Charlie just wants to have a talk, lay it all out on the table with the students in his class. And he just calls it getting it on. He wants to get it on, which in his mind, he wants to talk through why there's bullying and why this person did this and that. And it really is a lot of different stories. It's kind of like, it's a really messed up, I'm sorry to say Breakfast Club, but it's not. It's definitely not the Breakfast Club. It's a horrible version of the Breakfast Club. But it is very, you have sympathy for Charlie because of his life and what he's going through. And these children that are in the class, they're not, well, I guess 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders, I don't know. They all feel for him, and it becomes like a therapy session for all of them. They all tell a little bit about their lives and why they did this or did that, or why they don't do this. And it's not his best book, but a very interesting one. And if you're a King fan, I would very much say visit this one. This whole collection is good. I have not read Roadwork yet. I can't say the whole collection is good, but I read Rage, The Long Walk. I read The Running Man years ago, but yeah, it was just it kept me interested. It kept me very interested the whole story. And it's not a long story. I finished it in a day. It's a quick read, and if you get this collection, you can see. Let me see if I can give you examples. They're not like full pages like this page here. So yeah, it's 124 pages, but there's a lot of this where it's just blank at the end, and a lot of the chapters are like 2 to 3 pages, sometimes 6 to 7 pages, but it's a fast read. It's a really fast read. It is a depressing story. It's very depressing. But as I said, if you are a King reader, definitely read it. I think on Goodreads, I think I gave it 4 stars. I was just so, by the end of the story, you're like, whoa. So anyways, that's really all I can say about it. But if you guys can get your hands on this collection, and there's a smaller, there's like a paperback mass market about that big, I'm guessing, and I've seen it. It's green, but I like the bigger books. This one's got, as I said, Rage, The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man in it. And if you've seen The Running Man, you know that this is completely different. You know, it's something else too. I read Night Shift, and I think it was Stephen King's first collection of short stories. And you guys remember that movie, The Lawnmower Man, with Pierce Brosnan, made back in the early 90s, about virtual reality and everything? I read the short story, The Lawnmower Man, and there was nothing, like, it was completely a different story, completely different from what you had thought would be. I didn't even know why they had virtual reality in that. I have no idea what was going on with that. I wish they would have just done, like, I don't know why they don't do a Stephen King. They did, but they did Creepshow. I wish they'd do more of those with his short stories. I wish they'd have like a Stephen King collection of short stories like Creepshow every year or two. I would love for some director to helm that and just make all of these great short stories and make them high quality, high budget collection films. And if you're wondering what my favorite collection film was, it was as far as I know, the original Tales from the Crypt. That was the scariest collection of short movies that I've ever seen. I'm not talking about the HBO Tales from the Crypt with the Crypt Keeper. I'm talking about the one from the late or early mid 70s. It was so, if you haven't seen it, it is so creepy and scary. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on Rage. You can get it. If I know there's used copies on Amazon, and there's probably used copies on eBay. Go to your local bookstore. It's in the collection of the Bachman books. And if you can get a copy of Rage just by itself, but it's not a have-to read. It's not like Pet Sematary or It or The Shining or Salem's Lot, or it's not. I mean, if you can't find it, no big deal. But if you are a hardcore King reader, check Rage out. All right, you all continue to stay safe. God bless everyone, and I hope that this plague passes soon. We can all get together again. Bye now.